All right, Greg. So welcome to the training today. We're going to be reviewing on observation product offerings, specifically around residential, commercial, as well as the alignment with the Ashrae guidelines and CDC guidelines around using UVC light. So again, I'm one of the reps here in the Northeast for observation. I pretty much handle most of New Jersey. Cindy covers some stuff for us over there, like you guys, and I handle upstate New York and Pennsylvania with our other colleague Jennifer. So. Been around this block a while, been training on observation for a while. So again, the agenda, we're just going to define IAQ, refresh on that, hit on UVC versus UVGI. That's a key word from the Ashrae recommendations and guidelines, and obviously what we're trying to adhere with according to those guidelines during this whole transition. And then obviously how we're going to differentiate us from some of the competition out there. That'll probably generate some questions for you. So this is a fun mock-up slide here. We just like to review that when it comes to observation, they do have a water division, but obviously for today's purposes, we're just gonna be targeting air solutions, and observation as a factory and a manufacturer, they lead with filtration, UV disinfection, and UV air purification, again, across residential and commercial offerings. So we're gonna get some of the buzzwords and definitions out of the way to clarify a few things, because I know some companies say things differently. So UVGI, this is a clear acronym documented in the Ashrae Handbook. This is in chapter 62 of the handbook. And long story short, you can look it up, you can Google it, you can Wikipedia, we found links here, and they all agree on the same point here. It stands for ultraviolet germicidal radiation. So, but in order to pull off UVGI technology in an HVAC application, you have to be using products using UVC specific wavelength lamp bulbs. There is other UVA and UVB, and we even have a couple of products that use UVA as well. But in the end, if we're going to align with the Ashrae guidelines and standards, we're really trying to push, they have to be using UVC. There's even some new stuff nowadays using LED. We even have some of that we invented and actually launched earlier this year. But again, during this whole transition and what is already documented and confirmed by Ashrae guidelines for HVAC industry, we're sticking with that. So we have a couple other technologies as a company. We also push heavily on Pco Photocatalytic Oxidation. Again, that is also a technology that's only possible if you're using a UVC wavelength bulb. You can get some photocatalytic oxidation when using a UVA as well. But in order to pull it off, no matter what lamp you're using, you must have the catalyst component, which is called titanium dioxide. So some of our higher end residential products, for example, will have a metal ballast or a carbon-based ballast that has titanium dioxide either coated on the metal or infused into the carbon. And you'll see those in a few slides from now. So again, that's just another enhancement to improve air quality, address odors, break down VOCs, etc. Again, we have standalone products that don't use any of it and other products that are upgraded with it. So, and then ionization. Ionization has actually been around a long time. We'll get that in a second. I'm actually going to switch the screen share over here for you because this is just a quick overview to help you understand how we do titanium dioxide, how we do photocatalytic oxidation. And I'm going to play that video here for you in just a second.
Here's how it works. The UV Photomax Advanced Oxidation Module is coated with an exclusive titanium dioxide formulation. When UV light is applied to the surface, the titanium dioxide coating becomes energized, causing it to release electrons. The electrons then combine with oxygen to create what are known as superoxides. The titanium dioxide then collects replacement electrons from moisture in the air to become charged particles known as hydroxyl radicals. Together with the superoxides, a powerful photocatalytic oxidation, or PCO field, is created. As odors, germs, mold, and other VOC organic molecules approach the PCO field, they are disassembled as the oxidizers pull electrons from them. The purification process is completed, with the remaining molecules recombining to form simple water vapor and trace amounts of carbon dioxide. Ultravation's advanced oxidation.
All right, so that's PCO. Now, the product in that video is one we've been selling for, I can't tell you how long. It's called the Photomax. In a couple of slides, I'm actually going to show you an upgraded beyond version of that. It's actually called our Solaris. It's actually one of the top products we're actually pushing right now. But before we move on from this slide, I did want to switch over real quick, just to clarify ionization as well. So ionization has actually been around longer than even when UVC got figured out, and they realized that the light spectrum is very dangerous and very impactful for killing, bacteria and viruses. But ionization has been around a long time. Ashrae guidelines don't necessarily call it out as the best solution. Is it effective? Absolutely. We do talk about it. We have videos on it. We have products that push it, and we have products that combine ionization with the UVC and the PCO all in one. So we do remind people that, hey, we have 3 forms of technology as far as ultrafiltration is concerned. And do you guys work with any ionization now at all?
Are we working with any?
Yeah, do you have any products that actually use ionization tech?
The only products that we're using are, as fresh as their Blue Tube and their APCO, which is similar, pretty much similar to what you just showed there.
Yep. Okay.
Guess that would be like their APCO model there. Yeah.
Yeah. So just so you know, I'm just playing this little video. There's no audio to it. We have an ion generator that generates positive and negative ions. One of the biggest benefits of ionization is they literally nickname it a thunderstorm in the box, so to speak. But as you can see on the video here, it is actually literally helping some of those microparticulates that you can't even see to the naked eye get drawn to each other. So it's a positive and negative attraction. This is actually what happens in the atmosphere when lightning strikes across the sky. It electrically charges things in the air. So if you ever notice the air smells different after an electrical storm or a thunderstorm, as more of a sterile smell, that's actually Mother Nature at her finest. And then they figured out how to generate the same reaction. And then when you install a generator into your air ducts, and obviously per this video, we actually recommend you put it in the return right before the filter. And we have found that actually it enhances the filter's ability to catch more airborne particulates. So back to your point on my last video, fresh air, what we're doing for PCO and UVC lamps, that's obviously the most important because of obviously, killing bacteria and airborne viruses. But this is also a huge benefit because, as you guys know, everything starts to filter and then everything comes after that. So if people aren't using our high-end, we have MERV 11, MERV 13 class filters, but whether you're using ours or using anybody else's, if there's a way to improve a filter's ability to catch even more particulates before it gets to the point of the coil where a lot of contamination happens, then great, let's improve that. So that's one of the biggest benefits and selling points of ionization. So I just want to make sure you knew what that was, because ionization actually came out before UVC, and it was around for a long time, and then made a bit of a comeback in recent years. So, and I review it just because our higher end residential induct solution combines all of these techs. So again, back to our point though, as far as Ashrae is concerned, we're handling maximum education on using UVC wavelength bulbs to pull off UVGI technology, either on the surface of a coil or in the airstream and air supply of either residential or commercial applications. And again, I note these links right here. We have links already on our firm's website. We can always send them in a separate email. I can send to Cindy and you, but we have direct links to the public. Chapter 62 of the Ashrae Handbook actually was made public. We have a link to that. So you don't have to get access to the whole handbook. We could just get that one chapter. We have links to that. We have the links to CDC and the Ashrae announcements on why they recognize and confirm all the UVC and UVGI components. So I think it's always good in case you have any customers asking for that. It is public information. It is available. We compiled it all into one place. So just more resources for you. So per Ashrae, per CDC, the science behind UVC versus UVA versus UVB. Again, the UVC is everything. I don't know the entire product line of your current vendor, but if all their products are using UVC, great, good job. Most manufacturers are, but as I point out, some products are UVA and UVB. So it's important to remind you though, as far as this graph is concerned, UVC is the most dangerous section of the whole entire ultraviolet light spectrum. So, I mean, you got everything from X-ray machines all the way to visible light, all the way to the right here. But as far as the most dangerous concentrated packet form of energy out of that spectrum, it's got to be UVC. And I mean, again, if people understand science and microwatts, whatever, but in this purple sphere, you can see the very center is actually, if you're looking straight at the tip of a bulb lamp, whether it's Fresh Air's, ours, anybody else's. So as UVC energy emanates outward from the bulb 24/7 throughout the day, that is the intensity of the UVC light that's coming off. So you'll find that in most recommended applications, obviously you can tell by the inches we're pointing out here, for surface area concerns, the closer you are, the more dangerous and deadly it is. So more reason why when people are installing these, they're turned off until you have them installed. Contractors should be using protective goggles, things of that nature. You can burn your skin, you can burn your eyes with UVC wavelength. That's how dangerous it is, you know. So we just like to remind us from a training perspective, because people need to be safer with this. I've actually met people who have actually gotten injured from this. So, but long story short, once you go beyond that 12 inches and things are airborne, UVC light actually dissipates very, very rapidly. That's why we highlight that in yellow right here in the atmosphere. So it stays concentrated closer to the lamp and then dissipates as you move away. So proximity is a big part of system design, especially when you get into the commercial applications as well. And I'll get into that as well. So we can move beyond the Ashrae recommendations and their guidelines. Long story short, UVC and UVGI, those are your two key words. So UVC is the lamp type. That is the most dangerous section of the electromagnetic spectrum. And then everything related, when you take products using UVC lamps and then put them into an HVAC application, you're actually applying UVGI technology. So whether if you're putting on the coil, great, I'm putting UVGI technology on the coil. If I'm dealing with an in-duct supply or a large commercial ductwork supplying a restaurant or a movie theater, great, I'm applying UVGI technology into the air stream. And then we have other upper room applications, which I'll show you towards the end of the presentation here, that are something new we brought over from Europe that we were doing over there regarding large upper room applications. And this is actually called out also in Chapter 62 of the Ashrae Handbook, about how to apply UVGI technology in an upper room environment. So I'll show you that in a little while as well. So again, the last bullet point I have here is just, you can also then apply other technologies. So once I've accomplished UVGI, great, I'm aligned with Ashrae standards. Okay, but when some of my products are upgraded with titanium dioxide coatings and doing PCO, cool, now I'm applying that as well. But at the foundation, we should be applying UVGI technology using UVC wavelength bulbs. Now, in Sydney's meeting with you the other day, we happened to talk about there's differences in bulbs. So we do have a patented design. We do use standard UVC wavelength bulbs. And when I say standard, I'm referring to life cycle. So a standard UVC wavelength bulb that hasn't been modified has a 9,000 hour life cycle, meaning 1 year. All UVC bulbs that I have found, depending on no matter who manufacturer, usually they're going to tell you you've got a 2-year warranty. Meaning, okay, great, that thing is going to stay lit up for 2 years, we guarantee it. However, if it's a standard UVC bulb, you actually should be recommended to change them annually, because once you've burned a UVC wavelength bulb 24/7, 365 days that year, you've already lost probably by the end of that first year about 30% of its intensity, because there's a life cycle to it. So that's why we call it a 9,000 hour lamp. But at the end of that year, it's like if you're still trying to get maximum disinfection rates, you should be doing a PM cycle annually and changing that bulb out. That being said, then we have our T3. Our T3 is standard in our commercial products and in our higher end products as well for residential. T3, we patented it. We said, great, we're going to take that standard UVC bulb. We figured out to take a quartz sleeve and then trap an insulating layer of gas between the two surfaces. Why is that awesome? Well, per the slide here, I'm going to get 40% more energy out of that bulb now because it's insulated, it's protected. So especially right now, as the seasons are heating up and I'm running cool air, a standard unprotected bulb is going to be impacted by that chilling air. Well, the advantage of that T3 design, it's not going to be phased by the temperature at all. So again, when you're in that 40 to 75% intensity rate in the red here on the graph for a standard lamp. But if I upgrade it to a T3 because it's insulated protected, I can actually hit a true full 100% potential out of that lamp. So obviously we do like to recommend our T3 products because it's just a better bulb, it's insulated, it's protected. We talked about ozone and off-gassing. So all UVC bulbs actually have a 100-hour burn-in cycle. That's pretty much an industry standard. So the first 100 hours, as that bulb breaks itself in and gets warmed up, you're going to have some ozone-y byproduct coming off of that. The advantage of the T3 is because it's trapped inside that quartz sleeve, you're not going to get any of that off-gassing coming off of that. So there's another nice little selling point of going T3 versus a standard UVC wavelength bulb. And then obviously because it's a protected bulb and you get a higher energy cycle, we can get a 2-year life cycle to match the 2-year warranty out of that bulb. So it's actually rated as an 18,000 hour lamp life versus a traditional 9,000. So I wanted to help clarify that for you today. I know that was a part of your conversation the other day in your office. Do you have any questions on the T3?
No.
Cool. Okay.
Good.
Yeah. So here's a great graph. A lot of companies are doing different things in education. We took this graph specifically out of our commercial training because we feel it does apply residentially and commercially. So at the bottom here, you'll see UV Matrix SI. So all of our commercial products are called the UV Matrix series. The SI, S stands for surface, and then the AS stands for airstream. So, and I'll get into that in a little while. But we pull this out of our actual literature, which I also sent you. And here's a great example, right? So the bottom of the graph here is Streptococcus. It's actually a pretty common bacteria, definitely concerns in food prep world and everything else. So if you were just trying to solve for surface area contamination, which in the HVAC world traditionally, most guys are just putting lamps on a coil. Cool, I'm gonna reach a 99% plus solution out of just dealing with coil applications. But as I move up this list, and I start dealing with things like that are airborne virus-wise, like influenza A, the adenovirus, the echovirus is even more dangerous than COVID. Okay, well now I can't get enough just having the air passing by a coil that has a lamp on it. Is the lamp helping the air as it passes by the coil? Sure, but there's just not enough of it there. So the coil application is not going to get all of it done. And that's why we get into explaining why sometimes coil plus airstream dedicated products are important. So if I was trying to solve for echovirus, for example, well, great. If I had coil lamps in, I might be able to reach 23, 24% solution success rate. But if I'm really trying to solve for airborne viruses, I have to add an airstream solution in to get up to that potential of anywhere from 70 to 90%. So we use this just to represent to help people understand that, great. We always ask that question, right? Like, what are we solving for? Are we just trying to keep the HVAC system clean, prevent things from growing and create that petri dish effect? Or are we also now trying to solve for airborne virus potency at that level of disinfection?
I have a few questions. Are there like medical facilities that you guys sell, that we sell into, that actually like, this is like, they definitely ask for this, as a matter of fact, like a hospital, a dentist's office, like are people at this point with the current, everybody, whatever.
Yeah, we're inundated, right? I mean, as you know, Cindy, we're inundated with commercial quote requests. I've been on calls now with museums, the New York City Sanitation Department. I've lost track of how many commercial applications I'm concerned. The cool thing is this UVC wavelength and UVGI technology has been around forever. If you look in the Ashrae, Chapter 62, the Ashrae Handbook, there's black and white photographs from a facility, a CDC photograph provided from a facility in Brazil from years ago. I forget, there's an old hospital that's no longer in New York. I think it was closed down and decommissioned. There was an old St. Vincent's, I think, hospital in New York. There's a photo from their facility from years ago in the handbook as well, and they show how different applications of UV are being applied for dealing with, like, I think from those photos are so old, they were probably trying to solve for tuberculosis back in the day. So, right, so this technology has actually been around a long time. And yes, I mean, this is pretty standard. It's from a commercial standpoint. I think 8 years ago, I was on a rooftop of the Philadelphia Library speccing out coil applications for their big rooftops you could literally walk into, because they were getting black spores inside the metal casings of the equipment. So they were just trying to solve for that, whatever that was called. I don't know what black spores are, some kind of spore growth. So they were asking us to help design some racked bulb systems for those, because they had 4 big rooftops and they wanted to match a solution across all 4. And they actually said, for 2 reasons. They actually said, obviously, for the safety of the customers coming into the library, but also they also said, well, having spores, stuff growing in your HVAC equipment is going to make it inefficient. But also then those spores are going to get pushed into the ductwork and then spread throughout the facility. And they said this will end up damaging the books and the products within the actual public library as well. So there's really 2 benefits from it, right? Keeping the books protected, reducing growth in the equipment. That's 2. And then 3, obviously, the safety of the people coming in and out of that library. So yes, to answer your question, study lots of applications here. So this is just a fun overview slide. We have a lot of residential solutions. We target everything from the large particulate side, right? Doing proper air filtration. We don't have the pressure drop concerns that a lot of companies do. A lot of companies and contractors have failed to move out of the MERV 8 world up to MERV 11, MERV 13 because of concerns with pressure drops. We have the graphs to support this. We don't have anywhere near the significant pressure drops that a lot of other filter companies have because, one, we're giving you 32 feet of surface area in our 5-inch pleated filters. And two, there's other patented designs in our stuff that we can send people that shows how we don't have the pressure drop problems because we weave the filters differently. We have statically charged particle fibers in those to help draw the dirt in. And it's funny, they actually perform better once they start getting dirty. It's crazy, but I have this in my own house. So I have a MERV 13 in here. So as I hinted that we go from filtration, we try to improve filtration and some other ways with ionization with our ion generator. We even have mini split ductless systems because ductless is huge nowadays, commercially and residentially. And those things are basically wall mounted Petri dishes. So we have a universal UV kit for that. We have portable air purifiers for people who don't have ductwork and don't have ductless. And then everything from coil applications all the way up into the big high-end in-duct solutions. So again, depending on your market and what you guys need to do, we came out a couple years ago with this Advantage product offering for entry-level residential. This is a whole different unique bulb lamp design because it's actually a throwaway module. So it's considered a always in warranty product because this is not using our higher end interchangeable bulb lamp protocols for our lifetime warranty offerings. This is just saying, hey, I'm gonna come back, take 2 screws out, grab that black square, pull the bulb out and slap a whole new one in. So these are more like entry-level design bulbs, but you can still get them in a standard 1-year life cycle or the T3 patented 2-year life cycle. So, and we can even make them so you can add on like a carbon module to add on a little bit of PCO. Again, these are very entry level, but this keeps the cost way down for a lot of people. So we actually were able to patent and design this product at the entry point of a traditional higher end like bulb that we use in our lifetime warranty products. So, and we cover all the residentials for that way. We get in 12-inch, 17-inch, again, 1-year or 2-year T3. You could do a standalone. You could do it with the carbon accessory, up to use, hard mounted, magnetic mounted, we don't care. So that's been really popular in the past 3 years because people don't have a throwaway design like that. And we came out with that. So then we took that, made a beefier version. This one's standard with the T3, but we added on not just the carbon as standard, but also added on 2 additional metal panels with additional titanium dioxide. So as I hinted earlier, this slide, you're still doing UVGI, but if somebody wants a lot more PCO capability and they want to maybe consider putting this as an induct option over the coil, like maybe in the plenum, well, great, let's give as much PCO as we can, and you still get to use the same SKU, the same throwaway lamp design. It's still an advantage. It's just been beefed up into this power PCO version. I actually have some distributors in Southern New Jersey stocking these and Pennsylvania. They like the whole throwaway concept. So, and obviously you would leave the ballast and the carbon and the metal in the ductwork or in the plenum. You just take out the lamp module and throw that away. So these are our more entry to mid-level solutions for residential. This is what I have in my house. This is your lifetime warranty coil application. One thing I love about it was I never had an induct solution until this year. And I just wanted to keep my new coil clean. I have an N coil versus an A coil. And I just didn't have a lot of places to stick lamps. I couldn't put it in, it's nice to be able to stick one lamp under an A coil and you're done because I can just shine it up onto both sides of the A and I'm good. With my N coil, I couldn't do that. So I bought our Ultramax Easy Uv. Again, this is lifetime warranty. Again, this is not a throw. You're still got to throw the lamps away when you're done. But I mean, as you can tell here, these are a much plug and play bulb design. I have a nice power monitoring module. It's auto power sensing. I actually can plug in a secondary accessory lamp. So that helped me accomplish what I wanted. I wanted 2 lamps over my coil to get maximum UV as the air was passing through the coil. I keep the coil clean. I'm getting maximum UV exposure on the air as it's passing by. Again, not an induct solution, but at least get me as much coverage as I can on a coil solution. So again, this is a lifetime warranty product, T3 standard bulbs. So you got a 2-year life cycle. I just change bulbs every 2 years. So this is what I actually put in initially 2 years ago. And then there's other solutions higher end for induct. If you have people, I don't know what Fresh Air has, what's called an electronic, a lot of people call them electronic air purifiers or whatever nowadays. So there's lots of different designs out there in the market. I know April Air makes one. It's not like this. So this was what I hinted at earlier about there's UVA and UVC. So this Phototronic box is one of our higher end filtration boxes, standard with a MERV 11 filter, but then we added in a space to drop in 2 UVA lamps. And then on the exit of the box is a titanium dioxide coated screen or grid, if you will. So consider it almost like a second filter, but it's not a filter. So as the air passes through the filter, it passes by the UVA lamps. The UVA lamps are activating the titanium dioxide on the metal screen, creating the PCO. So I'm getting that extra air purification before I've even entered, through the coil process into the HVAC system. So obviously this is your, taking care of things on the return before it enters the equipment. So this has been a very popular product. I don't push a ton of them, but my colleague in New England does very well with them. And then in order to be aligned with Ashrae standards, the one thing I tell people is if you're going to consider something like this, you make sure you order it with this notable option down here and get the accessory UVC lamps. That way, when you install this product, this power module can power 2 additional UVC accessory bulbs. So then you take those UVC wavelength bulbs, put them on the coil. Now you're staying aligned with Ashrae guidelines and Ashrae standards. So standalone as the box as it is, technically, it's not perfectly matched to what Ashrae wants. As soon as I put those accessory lamps on and put UVC over the coil, cool, I'm aligned with Ashrae guidelines. Now I'm getting the best of all worlds. Granted, it's still not an in-duct solution for the supply, but you're taking care of a lot of air purification before you even enter in the HVAC equipment with something like this. So that's something where you're combining UV and filtration all in one. So we're going to finish off the high-end residential now. So UV catalyst. I actually have this in my house because in the next year or two, my wife and I want to flip this into a rental, move to another home. And I just didn't want to ever worry about anybody ever concerned about any kind of ozone at all. So I already had the 2 UVC bulbs in the coil. Technically, if I switch those bulbs out every 2 years, if they weren't T3, I'd have to worry about that ozone off-gassing. Well,
I noticed you just said no ozone.
Right.
So I think that's something Greg was really speaking to is in the meeting, he was mentioning something about no ozone layer.
Great concern. Yes. So we already explained the bulb factor, right? So T3, don't have to worry about it. So this product has a T3 bulb. So I'm not giving off any ozone byproduct from that 100-hour burn-in period of the bulb. But here's the thing, because the PCO, photocatalytic oxidation, I don't care what company makes photocatalytic oxidation, there is a slight ozone byproduct from that reaction process. Now, the percentage or chance of the population being sensitive to ozone is very minimal. But there is that random person who is. My own contractor, he noticed the PCO reaction just standing in my basement working on my my system. And he's my wife's best friend's husband. So it was like, oh, wow, I haven't met anybody yet. After all these years, I still hadn't met anybody until he noticed that ozone-y smell. And he was trying to figure out what he was going to put in his house. So that's why I put this product in, because when I flip this house, I don't want to have to worry about my next tenant if they're sensitive to ozone or not, because the advantage of using carbon versus a metal surface treated with titanium dioxide is that the carbon is a natural absorbing material. So this product has 3 strips of carbon on the ballast that stays in the ductwork. So when the UVC bulb is glowing, mounted in this catalyst product, it's not just creating the great UVC energy it does, it's activating the titanium dioxide, creating the PCO, and then the carbon is absorbing any kind of ozone byproduct. So if you want to be able to sell a true 0 ozone product, that's what this is. So we have another high-end product next. I'm going to show you that has even more tech on it, but it uses metal versus carbon.
That was awesome.
Yeah, it's a great question. A lot of people are very concerned about that. So, but again, the percentage of chance, not that big a deal. I will admit, I have a distributor in Southern New Jersey and Pennsylvania. He's like, you know what? We're just going to go 0 ozone. I don't want to deal with it. So that's what it's up to you. But again, lifetime warranty product. The main power head has got it actually tracks the bulb life on there for you. It'll alert you if the bulb fails. And the big selling point of this is if you didn't do what I did in my house where I already had coil lamps installed, the beauty of our higher end solutions like this is, as you can see with the secondary photo here, is I can actually power a coil lamp. So if I hadn't put a coil lamp in yet, and I'm looking for a single install, I'm going to put the catalyst in my plenum or in the supply, and then this power head has a secondary bulb port inside of it. So I can just immediately plug and play that accessory lamp right in and put it over my coil, and I'm done. So this is a great situation for a contractor who's looking for something easier to install, because now I only have to wire power for one product. I power the catalyst, and then the catalyst will power the accessory lamp. So that's what we always tell people, hey, you can do standalone, you can do it with a 12-inch, or you can do it with a 17-inch. And as you probably know, you guys probably sell more 17-inch than anything, I'm guessing. That's what I've sold most of my distributors. Most guys are trying to put the biggest bulb in that they can. And I think we sell more 17 than 12s. Do you know for sure at all, Craig?
I think the one that we sold, the blue tube there was like 13.5 inches, something like that. I think it was. Okay. I mean,
again,
for what you got on the screen right now is pretty much, Scott.
Yeah.
Being that we were a little bit late to join the game here,
mm-hmm.
and with the amount of SKUs they were producing, I mean, Fresh Air was billing this as a dual. Exactly what you're saying. The perfect setup, one on the coil and one in the airway. That's really going to be your 1-2 punch that you're looking for. So we did it in 2 parts. I mean, we're doing it with the blue tube and, the Fresh Air, they call it the Pco, which is basically you can figure out what the A is and the PCO is. So
right.
That's their product. So, yeah, so instead of doing it, dual and running, I guess, one line, you could do them independent here. Yeah. Is what we're trying to accomplish, just to meet the demand. So
it's true.
Yeah.
I will say though, from a training perspective, you should never just go right. Everybody's like all concerned about airborne viruses, right? And it's like, well, listen,
mm-hmm.
you can't skip the coil. It's like a big no-no because great, I'm treating the air supply, but then if I've got a possible petri dish going on in my system, I'm just adding to the problem. So that's why I always try and push people like, okay, I know everybody's all about air supply right now, but don't forget about your equipment because you still have particulates passing by the filter, no matter how good the filter is, and you have moisture on the coil. So, like, protect the coil. Like, that's the whole point of putting UV over a surface is that as long as UVC wavelength light is shining over that coil surface and 12 inches or less, it's inhibiting the creation of growth ever happening. That's another reason why we explain to people, even if you're not running your system, these must stay powered 24/7. If you shut a UVC bulb off, then you've just stopped its its inhibiting factor. So people are like, oh, I just want to turn them off with the system. I'm like, no. The other problem is UVC bulbs are not designed to do that. This isn't like a light bulb. A light bulb's filament can be turned on and off like that. A traditional, in the UV world, no. You just power it up and leave it going 24/7. They use less energy than a light bulb. So they're just there to inhibit growth and create that reaction. So I actually tell people all the time, like if you're not using cooling, you're not using heating, at least run your fan so you're constantly circulating your air and filtering it.
Right.
That way you're at least filtering. So I'm always having to teach that to my friends because they just turn the whole thing off. I'm like, no, turn your air on. Just put the fan on, leave it on, let it filter, and then your filter's at least doing its job. So cracks me up. So Solaris, this is our other top moving item right now. This has got crazy high demand because you probably have heard of the RGF's Remy Halo.
Yes.
That's the competitor to what you guys are already working with. So they've done a great job marketing, great company. They don't have the level of product depth that we have because they just came out with a couple of top end products and just moved the crap out of them. So Remy Halo is great. I mean, it's a nice product. This crushes it. And this also, actually I'll explain this in a second. You said they have the Pco. So it's kind of funny you said that. I got a slide for that. So my whole point here is this was the product I told about earlier that has the high-end UV. You got ionization as well. And this ballast has twice as much metal surface area around it. So that video you watched earlier with the Photomax was the predecessor to this. And we still sell a ton of it. But we took that metal ballast and then created a second layer around it. So there's twice as much metal with twice as much titanium dioxide available to create that PCO reaction. So we're able to double the PCO reaction compared to the old Photomax we had. And we have 4 times the ionization that a lot of the competitors had too, because we have four levels of electrodes in there creating the ionization as well. But back to the ozone thing. This is technically not a zero ozone product because you aren't using carbon, that charcoal to help absorb the byproduct. The one beauty of this product though, versus our Photomax as well, is we passed the same adjustability that we had into the Solaris. So we have a 4-inch adjustment range inside that ballast. We have a special dual band bulb, still 2-year life like our T3, but it's a special bulb. And we figured out a way to block the amount of PCO that is being generated. So we can actually adjust this product from 500 square feet of treatment up to 5,000 square feet of treatment and down again. So the catalyst in the Solaris can actually technically treat up to 5,000 square feet. So sometimes people are actually applying these into small commercial solutions as well. But the adjustability is key. I've actually for years moved tons of Photomaxes versus the catalyst that I showed you earlier in my house because you can adjust it. You can fine tune it. Like once you've gotten past that first 100-hour burn-in period of the bulb, well, then I just go back and I tweak it. You know, it's like, okay, well, let me adjust it for the square footage or CFMs. We have two markers inside behind that power head that you can actually adjust on. So if you're looking for complete zero ozone, then to stay consistent with that APCO, for example, then okay, then you might want to be looking at the catalyst. But whether it's the catalyst or Solaris, these are our top solutions we have, and they both have the ability to be scalable to put the coil lamp on 12-inch or 17-inch. They're both lifetime warranty products, and they're both using our best bulbs as well. So it just comes down to, do you want a ton of tech here, or do you want to go zero ozone like the catalyst? So that's a good clarification for you anyway. Now, this is something I'm questioning you now. Is this the APCO product you're talking about?
Yeah.
Okay. So this slide, I don't normally show to everybody because usually everybody's always trying to compare our Solaris against the Remy Halo. Now, granted, if I wanted to do the best comparison, I wish the factory had made this with the catalyst as well, because you guys already know about the APCO product. So you guys do move a lot of this?
We have well, we haven't even got the first shipment on, but they're half sold because well, we're selling them pumping the brakes all at the same time, if you know what I mean, Scott. The blue tubes came in way ahead of the, you know, kind of defeated my plan a little bit, but I had to make do with what I have here. We're still on back order. They did a pretty good job of getting the A coils out, but they sold in a day. So the idea was, you know, to try to sell them together, but you know, not knowing when the APCOs were coming in, we just moved the all the blue tubes to actually the one guy.
Yeah.
And then he said, well, yeah, well, let me know when the APCOs come in. Yeah, so, yeah, you know, just to go backward here a little bit, yeah, that was the 1-2 punch we were going with. And I just got some effective COVID-19 coil disinfectants because, you know, as the APCO and the Remy Halos that are out there, you know, some people need a little bit more education about this as they're moving forward, you know.
Well, I'll make sure
as I'm finding out here with you today, you know, it's like, well, if I put the APCO in or the Remy Halo, that pretty much guarantees me, you know, a clean airway, like what you would obviously say no to that. It's a 3-step process, right? It's your filtration,
designing for
particles.
Yeah, you want to go filtration, right, coil, and airstream. It's always been that way,
well,
too.
that's why I just said I just got the coil disinfectants, the rinse oil. You know, maybe put in your Remy Halo or your APCO or, you know, or your product in your airway, and you know, you got a disinfected coil for now. Think about, you know, putting a tube in, you know, on the next maintenance call, whatever. You know, 2-step process. You know, whatever. You know, people, you gotta be sensitive to people's wallets too as you know, move along. You know, in a perfect world, yeah, do all three. You know, like you said, and they say, well, how much are they going to cost? And you know, they say, I'll call you back next week, and you never hear from them again. You know, so you know how that. I mean, I've done it before myself, but yeah. So we try to do something to equip our guys enough to get out there and get in the game at least there. You know, because you know, moving forward, Scott. I mean, you know, this is. You know, like in HVAC, I mean, there's 2 different kind of people. There's people that install things in your house and they run away. You never see them again. They move to another country. They go out of business, whatever. So, yes, I mean, we need to prove here, and it's going to be passive income for us going down the road, you know, changing bulbs and stocking bulbs. And you got to make a commitment to your customer that, you know, once you're in this, you're going to be in this, you know. Kind of like the example I use, we all remember the guy painting his room in his tuxedo without getting a drop on him, which was a great product. Until 2 years later, what people found out is you need a special filter at the end of the roller. Now, it's not an ordinary roller now. That would only be compatible with the device, and they went out of business. So the tuxedo was the only thing worth keeping there, and that was it.
Well,
so without a commitment that, you know, you're going to have the bulbs and, you know, you got a, you know, financially sound company like you do, you know, those are the things that you need to prove to your customers to be successful,
Yeah. Well, and for your
benefit,
we're a
smaller supplier, I mean, Scott, I just want to jump in and say, you know, The more knowledge I get on this, the more it's going to be worth here because, you know, either the products are similar, they're close, but I think it's the support that's everything and moving forward, you know, which, you know, I'm quite impressed with you because I've talked to the people over at Fresh Air and I've talked to you and, well, I'm just going to say one's better than the other one for Scott.
It's probably because I'm a bit of a geek. So, I'll just say.
Well, when you want to, there's no better person to learn from than a geek, you know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you trace my roots far enough back, I've been a firefighter. In high school, I studied microelectronics technology at a tech school. Then I originally went to Penn State for engineering and then did marketing and psychology. So I get bored and just geek out on things. So that's why Cindy and I work so well together as well. So this is good for you, though. We'll make sure you get this copy because this is a great comparison. Again, to your point, because the APCO has carbon on it, that is a true passive PCO that can be sold as a zero ozone product like our catalyst. Now, you could tell by the design, that actually looks like, if you remember that slide earlier today I showed you, which we had the Advantage, and then we had the Advantage beefed up where it had.
Yes.
So this is actually more like our more entry to mid-level Advantage. Our catalyst crushes this because we have 3 times the carbon. So, but if you're trying to compare apples to apples, so to speak, right? So the APCO would be considered passive PCO like our catalyst is, whereas the Remy Halo and our Solaris or its predecessor, our Photomax, are not passive PCO because they are generating PCO. We can adjust ours, but it's truly not a zero ozone, AKA passive PCO product like the catalyst or the APCO is. But some good clarifications here is like, for example, we're all about our bulb tech. So even our Solaris has got a more powerful bulb, the dual band versus a single band. And when you're in an induct supply product like this, the length of the bulb actually really doesn't matter because these types of products are creating an invisible field around it, right? It's generating that PCO around it, generating the ionization in the duct stream. Your bulb length size actually applies more to surface area concerns. So that's why you always want to get the biggest bulb you can in and over that coil surface area to get as much coverage of that UV light as you can residentially or commercially. In duct like this, we don't care. That's why you notice it's 10 inch or 12 inch or 6 inches. Who cares, right? I'm creating a field around it in the duct supply where to keep recirculating the area. As long as I'm generating my PCO and everything else, I'm fine. So, but again, as I hit it earlier, right, our Solaris, we have twice as much surface area. So that's 200 square inches of metal surface area that we have titanium dioxide on. And I don't know, I mean, they have 2 metal fins and then the carbon, so I don't know what that surface area calculation is. But this is why we crushed the Remy Halo because they only have that round ballast. So, and it's only a single layer of metal with titanium dioxide on it, so we definitely defeat that. Another thing I like to do is construction quality, right? So I like APCO's design, right? They got nice metal quality. So there we go too. We have plenty of metal in ours, stainless steel and aluminum. We manufacture everything right in Vermont. The Remy, they got a little blend of plastic and aluminum, so it's a little cheaper. Now, again, PCO, we've got different formulations. Remy, they're using like a zinc ion blend. We're using a silver ion because silver has been proven scientifically over the years to be a great pathogen fighter. So we like to blend that instead. And then it looks like APCO uses just a standard titanium dioxide. Adjustability. The APCO doesn't need to be adjustable because like our catalyst, it doesn't need to be adjustable either. We have the carbon, it's absorbing the byproduct, we're fine. Granted, our catalyst has 3 times the carbon, so we're definitely got way more absorption of odors and ozone than traditional. But as far as adjustability, if you're ever going up against the Remy, they only got a 2-inch adjustment range. So, and the problem with their adjustment range also is when you adjust it, there's little sliders that block some of these openings on their ballast. We will never block any of that metal screen around our ballast. So that's an important concern as well, because you don't want to block the benefits of the UVC light. We still want as much UVC light getting out and creating that field inside the ductwork for the air to pass through. We don't want to block UVC. You want to, if you can control some of the PCO, great, but keep the UVC, glowing and getting as much exposure out from the device as possible. So that's definitely a design challenge for them versus us that we've defeated. And again, you don't really have to worry about yours because the APCO, like the catalyst, the bulb is mounted underneath and it's wide open. So just like our catalyst, APCO is doing a great job with their design as well. So I don't bash my competition. I just like to make sure people see how there's definitely design benefits, flaws, or improvements. So the other thing here is we are the only company that put an electronic lamp monitor, in the power head with an end of life notification. Nobody else has got that. the APCO does not add in ionization technology where RGF did and we did, but we have twice as much as what RGF did. And then the expandability. Now, this flyer was designed a year ago. I don't know if they've improved the APCO design, but when we designed this, we confirmed that you could not wire in the accessory lamp for the coil directly. You cannot plug and play it like you can right on our power head here. So I could be wrong, but you said that they're promoting APCO plus this blue coil lamp.
Yeah, they call it a dual, actually. Yeah.
Okay.
It's not plug and play though.
Okay, so that's from an install standpoint. Last time when we designed this a year ago, there was no plug and play. You still had to physically, as a contractor, wire two products, and tap power for that. We want to promote scalability and make it plug and play. You literally just take the power head off, run the wire up through the power head, plug it right in, and you're done. You're only tapping power for the Solaris or the catalyst that way. So the other good thing is, like, the product you guys have brought in from them, it's lifetime warranty just like ours. So kudos to them. RGF doesn't have a lifetime warranty. I don't know why. Probably because of product quality. I'm just gonna throw that out there. I don't know. So us and you, great lifetime warranty. We have a 2-year life lamp because again, we have our T3 design in there, or our dual band bulb is also guaranteed in this product. Catalyst is using T3. I don't know what their UV lamp life is. I don't know if they have their own patented design that gives you a 2-year lamp life, so I can't speak to that. So we don't know what to put there, but we know the product itself outside the lamp is lifetime. So they did a good job with the APCO on that. And again, RGF did not. So that'd be something to look into for you guys, is to find out, really clarify what is lamp life, because that's going to help your contractors understand, okay, well, what kind of PM should I be offering? Is it annual or biannual? So.
Yeah, well, what we're doing is, we're selling 2-year bulbs, just because it kind of made a little bit more sense from a replacement, because I think the 2-year bulbs, they're a fractional more than, a 1-year bulb. So we're selling them with a 2-year bulb. But, they had a registration there that, I guess after like probably a year and a half is what they're recommending, you should probably get rid of that bulb. So when you register the product, I think they'll probably give you like the end user will probably get like a postcard in the mail saying, time to change your bulb. Okay. But yeah, they bill it as a 2-year bulb, but it's they're gonna recommend it after 18 months. Yeah. That it's on a decline. Yeah, because I would say by the end of 2 years, it probably hasn't been doing anything for probably at least a month or two, I'm guessing.
Well, and again, if they don't have what we've done with our T3 design, I have concerns with that. I'm not going to bash it. I'm saying, is it a true, it's either 1 year or it's 2 years. So you can't say, oh, I give you a 2-year warranty. 2-year warranties mean the bulb is going to stay lit. You can't warranty disinfection rates. So that's a very, very important science behind this, right? So it's like, okay, great, my bulb is still lit after, 18 months. But what is the disinfection rate from month 12 to month 18, at that year and a half point? So I have concerns with that. I don't know. So actually, after this training today, you're going to make me geek out and have to go Google it and try and see what kind of life cycle they have on their bulbs. So,
you and me both. I don't think there was any warranty actually on the bulb. Itself. I just thought it's lifetime warranty. Everything but the bulb. Yeah.
Right. Well, again, so Philips is one of the biggest bulb manufacturers in the world. So that's who we chose to partner with to design our lamps. So I don't know who they use, but we're using Philips as one of our top manufacturers. There's a couple other we use to make because the UVA one that's in that filter box is a little bit different. But as far as most of our T3 bulb designs are all being done by Philips. So, and again, there's so much bulb tech out there being sold on Amazon nowadays from China and all over the place. I can't speak to those qualities. So, but Fresh Air is a good company. I mean, hopefully they're putting out a good product. So.
Well, yeah, I mean, it seems viable. I mean, it's better than everybody that's like selling these like Star Wars swords, I mean, it's like I wouldn't do it,
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, I had somebody yesterday. I was talking to a contractor. He's from up, North Jersey. And we were just talking back and forth, and he goes, "Yeah, somebody was asking me about the UV bulbs, and of course, I said, they ask you for the Remy Halo, I'd imagine, right?" Yeah. He said, "No, this was something handheld." I said, "Well, don't stand too close to it because," I said, "in best case scenario is this bulb does not work."
There's no way.
He's like, "Well, what are you talking about?" I said, "Well, UV light is dangerous,
Well, specifically
period."
UVC,
Right, yeah, and I said I don't know what this bulb is going to accomplish, really, other than I just other than you think it has a useful life.
Right.
I said, but the people got these things you plug in and you sit next to them while you're doing a crossword puzzle. I mean, it's like I said to you, you better hope they're not real UV lights, or it's 6 months down the road, if you continue to use this, I'm sure you're going to have either some kind of skin, rash or melanoma, whatever. You know what I mean? So yeah, there's a lot of crap out there. You know what? What kills me too, Scott, is it's these things, these widgets and gadgets that you put on your end tables. I mean, the price of them are more than your product. To put in, let's say your A coil in your ductwork combined. I mean, they want like $800-900 for one of these standalones there that do really nothing.
Right. Well, and so speaking of standalone, real quick, I just want to show you, this is what the catalyst looks like once it's deployed in the ductwork. So this is that zero ozone in-duct unit that's like a little bit beefier than the Pco. So I just wanted to see, this is what's in my ductwork right now. So you got 3 full strips of carbon instead of just carbon plus metal, right? So, but I thought it'd be cool to show you what it looks like once it's deployed, because the left and right sides actually stay collapsed when you take it out of the box. And then when the guy cuts his access hole, slides it in, somebody has to make too big of a hole. Then when you take the power head off, there's 2 levers that they just slide up and lock into position, and that locks this into a deployed area to create that big open field inside the duct supply. So a lot of people don't get to see what it looks like once it's open. So. Yeah.
Right.
But since you're talking about portable air purifiers, I'm glad you brought that up, because we make one. Now, again, like you said, not everything is created equal. So this is very, very popular. I do a lot of great work with this in Pennsylvania, because this is called our UVP 6000. And again, unfortunately, some people, they don't have ductwork, they don't have forced air, they don't have central air at all, they don't have maybe a mini split ductless, or maybe they have some really troublesome areas of their property, offices, etc. So especially in old construction neighborhoods. So we've had this has been through 4 redesigns over the years. So this is only 9 inches by 9 inches wide, and only 3 inches high. And it's a direct plug into the wall. So this is designed to treat up to 500 square feet. So I actually have a CrossFit gym in Binghamton, New York. They have a 2,500 square foot gym. So, and actually the wife who owns it is actually married to the owner of the distributor that I work with up there. So he's like, hey, do you got anything I can stick in a wide open old warehouse? And I said, what do you mean? And he's like, well, the ceilings aren't that high, but it's 2,500 square feet, cinder block. He's like, it's really smelly in there. So they bought 5 of these and just strategically located them around the facility.
Yeah.
And you can actually mount them on the wall too, but most people just stick them right on a desktop or an end table. But there's a tiny little turbine fan in the bottom of the chassis. So those rubber feet on the bottom allow the air to be pulled up underneath the unit, inside the unit, and then it passes through a washable filter. And then there's a UVC wavelength bulb in there. And then right across the front in the opening there is the carbon that we use. So this is a zero ozone product. So you're getting your PCO, you're getting the UVC, and you're getting some light filtration. And this is a great standalone product, and it actually looks nice too. So we do have portable options if you ever have people looking for that. And as you can tell, next to the
just a couple of questions on this one, Scott. Now you said this plugs into also, I imagine it's 115 volt.
Yeah, so
now is this something that you would continuously run this? I mean, like you plug it in, it just runs, it stays on, the same concept?
Yeah, we got one running at our office. So because we never.
So in other words, like if you had a house like mine, roughly 1,200 square feet, if I strategically put, let's say, maybe 2 or 3 into my house, I guess that would do.
That would help.
That would fulfill it, yeah, I guess.
I mean, I have contractors.
Now, I mean, it's strategic. Before you just jump ahead, Scott, I'm sorry. I don't mean to zippo you here with all the questions, but no, I mean, is there like some assistance that I have? I say, well, listen, Scott, I bought 2 or 3 of these things for my 1,200 square foot home. Exactly, where do I put these? What's the science or something like that?
Yeah, I mean, like, again, if you don't have central air and you don't, like, if you're not doing what we're training on today, you're not addressing ductwork and coils and nothing. You just have, for some reason, a house that has no AC. I mean, there's places in New England.
Oh yeah, no, this is good. This is good food for Cindy's thoughts, because she works that like North Jersey area, and although there are affluent areas up there, a lot of them were built in the 50s. They just don't have ductwork, give rise to the mini split. But yeah, there's a lot of houses that don't have central air and baseboard heat. So yeah, this would, especially people, kids that have allergies and stuff, they may just want it in the kids' room. And I guess there would be nothing harmful there and, being anywhere close to this.
Yeah, so Jennifer, who founded our firm over here in Pennsylvania, she keeps this, and her son has asthma. She keeps this in his room. So, because especially during this code transition, she wanted to reduce as much concern. And, she's still overhauling her HVAC system because she just moved to this property. So she's like, you know what, for now, she grabbed it off of our shelf at the office and took it right home. And so I was like, yeah, plug it in. Plus, it'll take care of any odors while he's in there too. So. Definitely a benefit.
And I mean, how long would it take to purify? Let's say, let's say a bedroom, just for S&Gs here.
Oh, you would.
I mean, would it take like a whole 24 days? Would it take like a whole 24 hours to purify initially, or?
I mean, I guess that's a problem. There's no one answer because, like, how bad was the air to begin with? How stagnant was it? Was there, is there dogs who stay in that room? There's all these different variables. I have a contractor in Pennsylvania. He says, you know what? He actually keeps one of these in his truck, and if he's got one of those customers that doesn't believe him, he finds the worst smelling room in that house, and then says, "Great, I'm going to leave it here, and you tell me if you don't notice a difference, in the next day or so." And because I can tell you, as soon as I put my UV stuff in my system, the next day I woke up, and I purposely that night I cooked with sauteed garlic, butter, and like salmon. I made sure my house stank, and then I turned everything on that night, and then I woke up the next day and I didn't smell a thing. So I was like, okay, well, it definitely works. So, this is something real. I mean, I haven't seen anything, anything quite like this, as far as portable like that. So, this is definitely good to know. Yeah. Yeah, and we got literature on this as well. I mean, all this stuff's available on the website too, but if you need this in PDF, like this is an example of like the literature. Again, controlling odors, deactivating airborne bacteria, viruses, allergens.
Yeah.
They explain
it would probably go pretty good in an area here, Scott, because we're close to the shore. So, when it comes to air purification, what's snapping into everybody's brain right now is, of course, COVID-19. But what you got to take, and my niece brought this to my attention, something I wasn't really thinking of because she lives in Florida. And we started to talk about UV lights a little bit, and she said, I just kind of put it in my house. And I said, that's good, blah, blah, blah. And she goes, yeah. And she goes, because with all the, mold we get here, living in a peninsula down there all the way in South Florida, the amount of mold, that a coil will accumulate, you don't really think about that. And, like down in the shore area, you got that, heavy salty air, ocean air down here, which would, it's definitely, that's a big plus, selling point down here is, not just the virus, but, the mold and the bacteria, that come with the mold, spray mold,
Well, that's like, for example,
people pay a lots and lots of money, man, for mold removal, And then you'll hear all different kind of stories. People just say, listen, just get a thing of like, bleach and some warm water and your mold problems will go away, I said,
not really.
I like to play golf on the weekends. I think I'll go with something like this,
Well, I got friends who have places on the shore, and actually I hooked them up with this kit. This is the M series for UV for ductless because, again, like you said, you have constant moisture. And the last time I went down to one of their places like 2 years ago, I walked in and I went, unfortunately, because I helped Cindy with her speed clean line in upstate New York. And so I mean, like, dude, you got to get your contractor to come in and clean the coils, and obviously she reps Speed Clean in New Jersey. So it's like it's a 1-2 punch, right? You get in there, you clean everything, but then if you don't want growth coming back in that head, and let me tell you, I saw all kinds of black stuff up inside their heads at their shore houses. So I'm like, okay, get this clean, and then let's get these UV kits installed because this is going to at least help inhibit the growth from happening inside those heads. And
I gave you a bunch of cut sheets on those.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I don't know if I was a rich guy. If I was like a Mark Cuban, I think I would call him up and say, listen, I need you to take all these things that Scott have that we're looking right here and buy every one he has. And then we're going to go over to like Mitsubishi, Daikin and say, listen, I want to make a company that I'm just going to install these in every one of your evaporators moving forward from today's day on, right on the production line. I don't see why they wouldn't do it, Really?
You know why? Because they have improved the designs over the years, but I remember some of the plastics they were using in ductless heads were more fragile years ago, and they found that they didn't want to take a position on, you know, certain chemicals when you clean the heads, and also stuff like this. So like a lot of companies are still promoting like LED in there, or little ionization strips in there, but like that's only treating the airstream for the ductless head. I was like, you got to look inside the unit, man. Your petri dish effect is where that coil is and where all the particulates are falling onto the coil surface area. So I was like, if you still want to throw that in the airstream, great, but don't forget like the inside of that ductless head, because I've torn them apart and those things get funky. So yeah. So that's that kit. That's available. There's your round generator again to help with filtration. Again, we make a lot of high-end filtration solutions, all the custom filter boxes. We will paint to match the brand of equipment. We'll even screen print right onto the doors all the contractors' logos. So if you got guys who love to do all their marketing, they like to see their name on everything, they can do that. Like, so even if you're not selling them their equipment, but you want to sell them the filtration solutions, and they want to match to a different brand of equipment, then at least, you know, fine, get them their high-end filter boxes at least. So yeah, we do all that as well. But obviously we're focusing on UV. So again, commercially, we do everything from racked coil lamps to airstream supply, daisy chain bulbs, because that's how you increase your disinfection rates, which is those quantities of bulbs through the duct supply. We make this Nema 4X rated enclosure. This is big for down the shore because it's a waterproof enclosure where all the electronics are inside that, and then that's kept outside of the equipment, outside the airstream. And we can get these with up to 30-inch bulbs mounted on them. So these are big if you can't fit a rack, of bulbs in there.
Right.
You guys know that not all commercial applications are huge. Some are very light duty, small package units. You can't fit massive racks of bulbs and stuff like that in there. So again, that's what you saw that blue and green graph earlier. This is something we heavily remind people, like, what are you solving for? So again, if I'm going coil application, great. I want to go with racks. If I got big coils, then great. We're going to do what's called a stacked coil solution. Sometimes those ones at the library I talked about earlier, we ended up putting six racks like this in there because they had stacked coils. It was a big library. So they had huge coils, and we had to do 6 stacks of these in all 4 units. So it was a great job. So that's going to give you your coil coverage, and you're still going to benefit some airstream disinfection as the air is passing through. But again, you really should have an airstream dedicated solution as well. If people are trying to get maximum disinfection rates for air supply, that's why that spreadsheet that we sent you is so important. Again, this is great for those smaller package units. Again, I can get you with 12-inch, 22, or 33-inch. You can get these in 1 or 2 bulb. So this is how you start attacking those smaller areas where all I got to do is cut access holes and just stick those bulbs in there. So I'm not putting anything else inside the equipment. So we're really trying to minimize anything going into the airstream or into the equipment as much as possible. The same thing goes with our airstream supply, right? So again, all the electronics are outside the airstream. The only thing you're doing is cutting access holes for the bulbs. And then again, depending on their goal of disinfection rate or the size of the ductwork, you might be fine with just one of these. If the ductwork is super, super wide, we can't get enough coverage with the length of the bulb across the duct. You might have 2 of these, one on the left, one on the right, and the bulbs meet in the middle to create that maximum coverage. And then that's then giving you the disinfection rate as the air is passing by, depending on the velocity. Again, going back to that spreadsheet, that's why we're asking for all this stuff. And then all of our AS series, all the bulbs are mounted 10 inches apart. So sometimes on some big jobs, if they're going for maximum disinfection rates, I've also seen these mounted 1 or 2 racks in a row after each other because the air was moving so fast in such a big duct supply that we needed to get like really 2 or 3 of these racks in a row because the air was moving so quick. So that's why the velocity matters so much too on the commercial application. So
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and then this.
I would imagine, like everything, they're really built on time and intensity as far as like killing.
Exactly. Yeah, your maximum intensity is actually where the bulb fields overlap. So
right.
And then this is what I was telling you about. So this is from Cindy mentioned this in your office the other day. Like, you just slap this on the wall. So this is meant for upper room applications. We actually are literally redesigning it as we speak. So this will no longer be current because the new redesign is going to have the bulbs, instead of dropping vertically down in behind those louvers, they're going to be coming across horizontally because they found that in Europe, it was no big deal to have an 7 foot to 8.5 ceiling height. Here in the US commercially, we found we got to be able to fit this in 8 feet or less. So they're going to shrink the height of the box, move the bulbs horizontally. You're still going to be required to have a minimum 7 to 8 foot mounting range because you don't want people to look straight into the box. So you want this above eye height. So unless you're unless you're employing NBA people, football, basketball players that are like 7 feet high, this will be fine. But this is meant to help increase air disinfection rates in wide open spaces. So this is called out in the Ashrae Handbook. They've got it in like I said, a CDC photo is shown in that handbook for upper room applications down in Brazil. They have the one from the old hospital in New York. They had these types of applications designs were mounted in large open cafeterias, over top of doorways that actually in these massive old hallways when the hallways were much bigger. These could be used in big lobbies. So another big clarification on this is that these aren't that big. So this actually only treats 225 square feet of space, because it comes back to your whole, what you just said, time and intensity, but also the field coming out of the box. So again, there's a panel of louvers in the front there to dissipate the light straight across the upper room. So this is, again, across the ceiling, because all rooms naturally have a convective flow of air. You have hot air rising, cold air falling. So this is working with that. There's no fans. It's just UV light is shining. It's shooting across the room thanks to those louvers. You can't look straight into the box. And then, as you can see here with these graphs, obviously your biggest intensity is closer to the box here. As you get further away, you're losing the intensity. So that then determines, okay, well, how big is the room? We will probably mount these about 10 feet apart. And then that, if you have a wide open room or you have a long hallway, that'll determine how many you put in that space. So again, this goes back to that, commercial guidelines. What are we solving for? Maybe we want to offer an upper room application. Maybe we don't. Maybe we're fine with the SI rack on the big coil and putting an AS solution in the airstream, and you're fine. So that's the point of all this. So it's like helping people figure that out. And what just happened there? I think we lost Cindy. I think Cindy had to go on another call. So.
Yeah, she had to run. I saw her message there on the bottom.
Okay.
She got another.
Cool. So that sums it up. I mean, like I said, upper room wise, I know you never saw it before. Like I said, we partner up with Cindy on a lot of line representation. So she's handles all of her stuff in New Jersey, but obviously in New Jersey, I handle a lot of this stuff. But there's certain accounts that we just let her spearhead because she knows you guys better than I do. So, but that being said, I know we did a lot of interaction, but I'm gonna shut the screen share down for now, and I'm actually gonna kill the recording. Is there anything left that you guys need answers on?